Brothers in Combat with Serge Vicente and Darnell Giovanni. No need to fight. Just listen up and get it right. Brothers in Combat, baby. We rollin'! Yeah! All night long. Boom.
All night long. All night long. What is poppin', fight fans, and welcome to one of the greatest podcasts on the planet Earth. Not your average podcast. This is the Brothers in Combat with your hosts, both of us, Darnell Giovanni, aka Mystic Black, and I got my man to my right and to my left. My bad, I went the wrong way. What's up, Serge?
What is going on, my brother? How you living, man? The dynamic duo of MMA commentary, brother. What it do?
Chilling. Feeling great, feeling good. I feel refreshed. We had a good weekend of fights. We had a good little podcast we did on Instagram Live. You guys missed that. It is on the Fight
Please
Podcast
go check it out.
page. It's amazing. We appreciate Joseph Benavidez and Burt Watson for jumping on, and and all the viewers that were on there as well. We're going to be doing that more often. Every time we got a big fight card, we'll be on there to talk to you, the people, because you guys are very important and we appreciate you. And we wouldn't do this without you guys. But
can't do it without you.
We can't do it without you. But we had such an amazing weekend of fights. My God, UFC 261, the action was back. The people were there. The energy was crazy. Serge, how did you enjoy the fights this past Saturday?
Oh, I loved it. And I can't lie. I want you almost want to talk shit because I'm definitely one of those people that said, look, at the end of the day, I don't think we want fans back. We don't need fans back. I enjoy it feeling like it's in a gym. I like hearing the coaches. I like hearing the shots. I loved it all. I loved every aspect of that. But there is something about that fucking crowd. And I felt it earlier in the week for the weigh-ins. Hearing the chanting during the weigh-ins. All of a sudden the crowd, bro, I don't know if it was just me, but a tear came to my eye the first woo that I heard. I used to hate the woos. The woos felt good because it's been so long. I loved it. I was excited. The event lived up to actually exceeded expectations. And I'll be honest with you, this arguably goes down as one of the most entertaining fight cards of all time. I'm not even being prisoner of the moment. I'm just keeping it a bean.
Absolutely. And speaking of woo, like my boy Ric Flair, this reminds me of the crowd energy at WrestleMania, which was a couple weeks back. And it brought the crowd back, and they were just on a different level because we haven't had live sports in a while, especially with entertainers like we have in mixed martial arts and in the wrestling community. But that crowd in Jacksonville, no matter what fighter was coming out, well, we'll talk about specifically some fighters that they didn't give too great of a reaction for, which was crazy to me. But the energy they gave a lot of these guys, like I don't remember seeing Anthony Smith get that kind of a reaction from a crowd, you know, literally fighters you never think who deserved that, you know, they deserve that 100%. But I just felt like this different kind of energy, even where I was watching, everybody there was just screaming, going crazy. I'm just like, do you even know who Rose Namajunas is? But it doesn't matter. They still were cheering for her. They still were excited. It gave a lot of energy. And I felt like this brought more fans to the sport. And of course, we had a lot of finishes. We had 5 finishes in that main card.
Hey, and not only do we have 5 finishes in the main card, which is unheard of. I'm going to say it again. It's unheard of that we have 5 finishes in the main card. But we also had each title fight was a finish. This is the first time that we've had 3 title fight finishes since UFC 217. And that was GSP defeated Bisping.
That's in New York.
TJ Dillashaw defeating Cody Garbrandt. And we had somebody who's also on this card, Rose Namajunas, knocking out Joanna Jędrzejczyk. UFC 217, New York. Amazing. But this is the first time since that the fights went down the way they did in terms of the finishes. Yeah, and I gotta get your reaction. Now we're days after the main event. We saw Jorge Masvidal get knocked out by Kamaru Usman. If you didn't see it, guys, of course, check it out. It is everywhere. It was a photo finish, literally a photo finish. Jorge Masvidal gets KO'd for the first time in his career. Remember, KO, not TKO. First time he's gotten KO'd in his career by somebody who is now considered one of the
pound for pound best
No,
fighters.
UFC officially.
That's right.
He's officially the number one pound for pound fighter. The rankings came out on Tuesday, like they do every week after the fight. And sure as shit, John Jones, get your Kleenex ready. Pound for pound, number one, Kamaru Dean Usman.
Serge, does Kamaru Usman deserve this number one spot right now? Is that his? Is that going to be hard to take claim? Can John Jones go win a fight and be back to number one again?
So here's the thing. I have to say this because a lot of people, I think, look at this and say, oh, how are you going to say John Jones is pound for pound number one? Look, you can be the GOAT and not be pound for pound number one. We look at me in my face and tell me that John Jones's last 4 performances have been the best fighter in the world. Now, let's go on the other side. Because of activity and because what he is doing to the guys at the highest level, welterweight is one of the best divisions in all of MMA, especially the UFC's welterweight division. Only other division that we could even argue at this point in time is probably lightweight. 135 is doing his thing, but it's either 155, 170, 135. And he is not only defeating everybody. We're talking about a man who's on a 14-fight winning streak. And I know what a lot of people say. And I know a lot of people, when they end up looking at it, they say, well, look, man, he only has 5 title defenses, blah, blah, blah. It's only because they didn't give him a title shot when he deserved it originally. And I think that I'm saying that he by far is number one. And the reason he is because look what he's doing to the top guys in this division. He is not only getting decisions, he is putting dudes away. John Jones doesn't put people away anymore. He gets decisions.
This is a fact. And of course, I got to give credit to John Jones' competition because there's been some guys who are pretty tough. And
I have not. I am sorry. John Jones has the most inflated record in MMA.
Whoa, I don't know about inflated.
I'm going to say that, and I'll explain myself in a minute. So go ahead, because I'm hot on this one.
I don't know about inflated. I think John Jones beat a lot of really good guys. Maybe every guy might have been at their prime, but he beat a lot of good guys at their own styles too, and you have to give John Jones credit for that. When he fought Glover Teixeira was hot. He was like on a 22-fight winning streak, and John Jones.
And he's still here.
What could John Jones have done to him? He could have took him down, elbowed him. He didn't do that. He's like, oh, you want to stand and box? We're gonna box, and he outboxed him.
Look, John Jones is my GOAT, but I can still say that his record has been inflated, and I could explain why. I'm just saying.
No, I know. I'm hearing you on that.
So go ahead. That's where we're gonna get into.
John Jones still deserves credit because he did a lot of things to these guys who. He could have easily beat them in any facet. Even the Thiago Santos fight, he stood up with him because he wanted to fight Muay Thai in the Muay Thai stance, and he did that the whole entire fight. When it comes to the Anthony Smith fight, maybe you can talk about John Jones in that, but I mean that in the sense of he didn't seem too motivated. But at the same time, if you are a champion, if you are the GOAT, you should be motivated at all times. You get
him out of there. You
should be motivated at all times. But back to Kamaru Usman. As I released my rankings this past Tuesday, that I released, I think it was Tuesday or Monday. But whichever day it was, I had him at number one. I was already ready to give it to him. And a UFC went on my page and they saw it and they gave him number one too. But
absolutely.
I got to give it to Kamaru Usman. But this is the thing. This is what I'm afraid of. I feel like we're going to see a Khabib Nurmagomedov situation here to where it's like none of these guys are even like close to even beating me. I know and these are 2 very strong divisions. But if you're beating guys like that, do you even want to fight anymore? Do you want to keep putting your body through this? The other day, I was watching The Ultimate Fighter with Bisping and Mayhem Miller, and guess who was standing behind the 135 and 145 pound fighters coming out because he was the wrestling coach? Kamaru Usman.
Kamaru Dean Usman.
This guy's been doing this for a very long time, so I question how much longer does he want to go to the training camps, the injuries. The sparring matches. Man,
he doesn't even really do road work because his knees are so messed up.
Exactly. He always has a pad on his knees when you see him training, and he's going against guys like Justin Gaethje and having to spar and take that damage. That's very rough. So that's the thing that scares me the most is he might retire earlier than we want, especially at his prime. But I don't blame him because who wants to keep taking that damage? Take your money and do what you got to do.
I see him being around for at least 3 years.
3 more years.
3 more years. I think we're going to get a lot of good fights out of him. So and the reason I say that is because again, so you and I talked off camera. We talk about he's one of those guys that really, he enjoys the money. And there's nothing wrong with that. He enjoys it. And here's the thing. This is the first time he's really going to be able to get it. Really going to be able to get it. This past win against Jorge Masvidal, in my opinion, was a star-making performance. He got the rub. You know what I mean? That's one of those things that a lot of people don't talk about. It's like when you beat a big name, you get the rub. And he went out there and didn't just beat Jorge Masvidal. He destroyed Jorge Masvidal. Even to the point that the fight really wasn't even that close. In the first round, I knew this fight was going to be an issue when he started catching Masvidal with straight right hands. Straight right hands. Just blasting him. His timing is incredible. He is finally getting that star power. So I think there's some paydays he wants to make. He's going to be motivated by that. I still see him being there. And here's the thing. I generally believe he wants to lap these guys. I think he wants to fight Colby again. I think he also wants to, wants that Leon fight. And I'll be very honest with you. That Leon fight is the one that's very intriguing to me. I have a dark horse when we talk about who's next, but there's so many different options, and there's still guys that we can really sell.
When the floor is yours. You can name that dark horse. Yeah.
Well, let's get into it then. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Because we really look at it, we say, who's next, right? Dana White already said Colby Covington. Colby Covington's on a 1-fight winning streak, and the person that he beat is Tyron Woodley. I don't even know if Tyron Woodley still is employed by the UFC. So that's not even impressive to me at this point in time. And I say that because he's literally not even in the rankings anymore. So we have no idea what's happening with Tyron Woodley. I'm not impressed with that victory. Everybody's doing that to him. Let's also look at, then we have, obviously, Nate Diaz is fighting against Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards is on an 8-fight winning streak. That's an option. The winner of that one will get him. We also have, here, let me pull this up. Wonder Boy. We have Wonder Boy and Gilbert Burns. Wonder Boy is a guy who's also, again, he hasn't fought Tyron Woodley yet. Not Tyron Woodley. Kamaru Usman has literally beat the top 6 guys in the weight class. Yep. He's already fought those guys. He's fought and beat these guys already. So Wonder Boy is the one guy in there who he hasn't already fought. That's a great option. And then here's my dark horse of the division. The person who has the third longest winning streak behind Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards. Kamaru is at 14. Leon Edwards is at 8. Who has 4 and has not lost at this weight class is none other than Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa is a guy who has been calling Colby Covington, chasing him down, and Colby don't want that smoke. That's a compelling fight. That's my dark horse in the division. I actually really am high on Michael Chiesa, but this is what's going to happen. If Leon Edwards goes out here and does something spectacular against Nate Diaz, Leon gets the title shot. He will leapfrog Colby Covington because Colby has not been playing ball recently. You know how Dana gets down. Mm-hmm. So he'll go out there and leapfrog that. Here's the caveat. If Nate Diaz wins, Nate Diaz gets the title shot.
100%. And it's crazy how the Diaz brothers can just come back at whatever time they want and leapfrog.
They're always a fight away. They're always a fight away.
One fight away.
One fight away.
Nate Diaz is just like, you know what? I want to fight the number 3 guy in the welterweight division. Boom. Dana White gives it to him. No matter what.
Hey, and here's the thing. That's a ballsy fight. Say what you want about Nate Diaz. People say he picks stuff. That's not picking a easy fight. He picked a dog.
He picked a dog, but it's a smart fight in a sense of
smart fight.
He doesn't have to worry about wrestling. This is going to be striking and your better chance. Your better shot.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Compared to like
I hear you.
A wrestler's wrestler. Leon Edwards is going to stand up with him. You know, Leon Edwards is a complete mixed martial artist. Don't get me wrong. But he's going to want to stand with Nate Diaz, and they're going to go at it for sure on a stand-up.
Leon Edwards, honestly, Leon Edwards is probably the most well-rounded guy at 170. Think about it. Think about really well-roundedness. He's probably the most. Well, I mean, Kamaru Usman's obviously coming around, and he is our pound-for-pound guy.
And but Colby aside too, you can't not give Colby that.
I generally believe that in terms of every aspect, the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu, the striking, Leon Edwards is a higher level striker than Colby Covington is. Colby Covington has a hell of volume.
Yep.
And I'll say Colby Covington is a by far better wrestler. Here's the difference. I think the difference is in the jiu-jitsu game and the real grappling game, and I will give the edge to Leon Edwards. Look at what he did to Gunnar Nelson. Don't forget about that. That's a big deal.
For sure.
So those are just some of those fights and the matchups. Like I would have loved to seen Kobe against Leon Edwards. I actually favor Leon Edwards in that fight. I think he is so underappreciated. He is so underappreciated. That's the guy who I believe has earned the title shot. But again, we got to see him go out there and prove it. Again, we with the Bilal Muhammad fight, we can't hang our hats on that. If he goes out there and beats Nate's ass like Jorge did, there's no questions about it. He gets a title shot.
It's going to be very interesting to see, of course, that fight. But as we were speaking about the Diaz brothers, we had a man show up. Nick Diaz showed up in the house. And as soon as they showed him on that screen, he was ready. I mean, the crowd was ready to see him return. He had a huge pop, more than the Jake Paul and Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje was a guy who fought more recently. And people were cheering for Nick Diaz more than him. Is Nick Diaz, can Nick Diaz still be a factor in the welterweight division? Because Kamaru Usman now, people can't just be afraid of just his wrestling. No, now you got to be afraid of his hands, and he could take you down if he wants to. So there's plenty of different things you have to worry about. Can Nick Diaz be a factor in this welterweight division? He doesn't have too many wrestlers he has to worry about. Should they make matchups for him, like big matchups, like big money matchups, which is going to be big money no matter what, excuse me. More bigger fights or just fights to make him contend for a title?
The thing about the Diaz brothers is this. They're always going to want to fight the best guys out there. If I was handling the Diaz brothers in his return, I would give him somebody like a Cowboy Cerrone at 170. I would give him somebody like that he's going to go out there and starch. He's going to look good. And I'm not even going to say starch. He's going to go out there and it's going to be a tough fight. He's a veteran. It's a name. And he goes out there, builds some name recognition, gets him a win, and then to the moon, right? You do that with somebody like a Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz is somebody that he hasn't fought in 5.5 years at this point in time. For the new MMA fans, they all understand and they know Nate Diaz. They look at Nate Diaz, they revere Nate Diaz. Well, Nate Diaz looks at Nick this way. And Nick Diaz is so good. And here's the thing, he's still, from everybody in their camp, he still trains. Look at his body physically, what he's been doing. My man's is bodied up right now, just jacked. He's all, you know what I'm saying? And he is ready to compete. If he is ready to compete, and if Nick Diaz is at his best, has not been taking the beatings, he is going to be a factor at whatever weight class he decides to be in. Nick Diaz, and think about this. We made a good point, right? You talked about his wrestling, and there's not that many wrestlers in that weight class. His jiu-jitsu is so good that even if you take him down wrestling-wise, he has an active guard. So he's extremely active off his back. So you're going to want to get out because he might try to snatch you up. And then on the feet, yes, like Nate, they don't have the most pop. But at the same time, Paul Daly is one of those guys that is known to be one of the hardest hitters in all of MMA. Paul Daly is still knocking fools out. I don't know if you saw his fight with Buddy from American Top Team last week in Bellator.
Yep.
Holy shit, another barn burner. He went out there and knocked him out. So Nick Diaz knocked him out in the first round. He has enough power. He has enough pace. He seems as if he actually is motivated and wants to fight. Nick Diaz, if he wants it, is a problem.
I think it's super easy for the UFC. It's right there.
Easy.
You can do big money and get him back in the rankings with one easy fight. Jorge Masvidal. It's literally it's
match made in heaven.
Best fight they can make. He beat his little brother. You know what? I'm coming in and I'm going to take you out because you almost finished my little brother. You beat him up pretty bad. And I'm going to come in. I'm going to beat you, and I'm going to take your number 4 ranking in the UFC. I think he's number 5 now. I think he might have moved down. But
I think
still,
he's number 5.
He would be back in the rankings. And like you said before, one fight away from a title fight.
One fight.
Do I think Kamaru Usman can beat Nick Diaz? Probably, because he's more active. He's more active lately, but it's still going to be something we think about and something we'll be curious about. It will strike our curiosity for sure. Just like you said, Nick Diaz has a very active guard just in case Kamaru Usman would want to take him down. But if they're standing, Nick Diaz is no easy guy to finish compared to Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz, he's been finished before, but Nick Diaz, I think, has been finished one time ever in his career, and that was his second fight, I believe. But
I'm about to say, I can't even remember him getting finished.
Yeah.
I had to really think about it.
So that's a hard thing to do. But look at Kamaru Usman. He just finished Jorge Masvidal. So it's possible for him to do that to anybody. So I would definitely love to see him come back. I would be excited for it. If he comes back, it's going to be a main event. It's not going to be any kind of co-main event or something like that, because Nick Diaz is a big name. Everybody still loves him. They love his style, no matter what he's done in his past, in the sense of, his party life, living in Vegas. Hey, man's fought his whole entire life. He just wanted some time off to party and enjoy it. These guys, remember, are always in training camps, always training all the time. Not to say he probably wasn't training in between the partying, but look at him now. He looks in phenomenal shape. He looks like he's motivated. He looks like he wants to get back in there, and he's a guy who's very, very he's on his shit when it's time to be on his shit. Always. Yes. Always. Absolutely. So I would love to see that.
The only time I've seen him not prepared mentally was probably the Anderson Silva fight.
Yeah, he definitely.
That was the one.
I was there for that one.
Really? Yeah, and it was wild.
He seemed off. Yeah. When they were interviewing him and he was passing by, he just seemed like he just didn't want to be there.
Yeah, and he was going through stuff around that time, and they were fucking with him about Tulsa. So I think 5 years later, we see him physically. He looks crazy right now. He looks in crazy shape, and if he is in that type of shape, and if he is going to Jacksonville, of all places, to hunt down Dana White, it's because he's looking for a fight.
Yep. When he lives in Vegas, he didn't even show up to the Vegas fights, and he lives in Las Vegas.
Exactly. That means he is ready, and he was like, it was literally one of those days. He was like, he looked at himself in the mirror. He probably beat somebody's ass in training and said, "Hey, let's go get this fight." And I'm telling you, I've always been a big Nick Diaz fan. I love his style. I love his tenacity. I think he has way more power than I think people realize. Because he definitely, I actually went back and I watched that Carlos, I almost said Carlos Newton, Carlos Condit fight. I almost said Carlos Newton, Carlos Condit fight. And you really forget he was catching Carlos.
Yeah.
And really hurting him to the body, and he's one of those guys that has really sticky punches. You know what I mean? When they're sticky, when you can tell when they land, when he's actually sitting down into it, Nick can hurt you. I can't wait. I think he'll be an amazing addition to it, especially with, and I think you hit it on the head. Give him Jorge Masvidal. That is the fight to make. Yo, you put the BMF up for that.
For sure. But I actually think he gave the BMF to Kamaru Usman. I'm not even kidding.
I think he did. I think he might have. Did,
which is pretty cool to do, Listen, he beat me. Yeah. That's you. That's you now. You know how Jorge Masvidal is. Very respectful. He said he was a big fan of Kamaru Usman after that knockout, and that's why he loves this sport. So that's amazing to see. But
all respect. I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to say all respect to Jorge Masvidal and the way he handled this. He handled it like a man. And that's one thing that I love MMA. And I'm not even going to say more than boxing, because a loss doesn't define you in MMA. If you go out there, you take an L, and you take it on the chin like a man and say, "Damn, that was good." And the way he broke it down, and you can tell that Jorge's a real student of the game. He was like, he did. He was looking for the takedown. He really was looking for the shot. And salute to Trevor Whitman and the guys over there. The game plan that they implemented for Jorge Masvidal was perfect. They had him thinking shot. He was throwing a check hook, and literally that right hand slipped right over the top of it, straight as an arrow. It literally looked like he had a bow and arrow, and he just came right down the pipe. Beautiful shot, but Jorge Masvidal, the way he handled it, it reminded me. Because 2020 wasn't a good year for Jorge. He went from being the man in 2019. He had a shitty 2020 from some of the things that he was saying and kicking it with Jake Paul and all the Trump bullshit. It reminded me why I was a fan of Jorge Masvidal. Even in defeat, it reminded me, this is why I've loved this dude for the last decade. Right here.
Absolutely. I love that about him. That's amazing to see. And even this guy over here does that too. When he loses a fight, he breaks it down and just like, he did this perfectly. No matter what antic he does after, when they break down the fights because they just love the damn sport so much, it's just so cool to see. I love that when fighters do that. I love that so much. But there were other things that happened on the card as well. Of course, you had the Chris Weidman leg break. we're not going to review that. That was just crazy and nasty. I hope he's doing
okay. Much love to his family and everybody. Hope he gets better.
And shout to the UFC for giving him a private jet and everything to help him go in that uncomfortable situation. I've been there before. I've broken my ankle in that same kind of facet you see it hanging and it's just like, whoa, that's not right. And man, moving around is very, very difficult. Of course, unfortunately, I did not have a limousine or any kind of SUV to pick me up, but it was very difficult to move around and move the leg. Wishing him very well wishes, and I hope he can come back. I don't want to see him retire. But to open the main card, Anthony Smith took on Jimmy Crute, and Jimmy Crute tried to get up from his seat, and his ankle was buckling a little bit. Let me ask you this, Serge. People have shooken that off before. Like, I remember Henry Cejudo fighting Demetrius Johnson, and the same thing happened to him. They didn't stop the fight. I think he tripped over himself like 3 times, and they did not stop the fight. Should Jimmy Crute had his own decision to continue, or should it always be the doctor to make the decision of that? Do you think he was finished? Because he still had energy. He still was ready to go.
It'd be very easy for me to sit there and say...
Sorry. And one more thing. He took Anthony Smith down pretty easy too. So let's say if he wanted to fight on one leg, man, he could have still got the takedown. But go ahead.
Anthony Smith was beating his ass. Like let's keep it a bean, right? Like that wasn't a close fight. Like that jab
Smith with the jab,
Yeah, like Anthony Smith's jab. Anthony Smith again. We're talking about people. This fight reminded me. This card reminded me why I was such a fan, not only of MMA but of some of these athletes. I was reminded that Anthony Smith is still young. I don't even think he's like 32, 33 years old. So having somebody he's that young with all that experience, he's still getting better. And it reminds us that he has a long way to go. I think he was winning the fight. Now, in terms of the stoppage, the doctors and their job is to protect the fighters. If a doc stops the fight, a doc stops the fight. I can't argue that. He wasn't going, and also we have to think about it. It's easy for us to look at some of these lighter weight classes and say, all right, those things are, happening. Let's see him fight through it. Having these guys are big dudes. They can really put damage on one another. If you're compromised in any way, you're already at a disadvantage in there, especially at 205. If he goes up there and is actually, I think it would have been a bad look. I think the doctor did the right thing. He was going to lose the fight anyways.
Yeah, it was going to be a rough one for him for sure. But I don't know. I feel like they should give him some kind of a chance to see if they can go. Like, at least let him start the round. If that happens, okay, stop it completely. But it's a nerve thing. That nerve can come back at some point, and boom, he's back to normal. So they got to at least see him do a little bit more. And I feel like it should be given more of a chance, because that hurts, man. That hurts so bad because it's not like his leg was done. He just it's a specific nerve made the whole leg just go, numb. It's numb, pretty much numb. So that's
goes numb.
Such a weird thing to see, but hey, it's a specific tactic. You hit him in the right spot.
It's part of the fight.
It's part of the fight at the end of the day.
It's part of the fight, and if he literally couldn't move, he couldn't that's you're debilitated. You can't fight anymore. It is what it is.
And we're going to see so much more of that going forward, especially with the popularity of the calf kick, and to whoever can, defend the calf kick in some way.
We're also going to see some broken shins too.
More broken shins, absolutely.
We're going to see a lot more broken shins.
Wear and tear happens, especially when the leg.
Especially when guys, and I know we weren't going to talk about Chris like this, but
absolutely.
Guys going after that calf kick. Think about this. He went after a seasoned kickboxer. In Uriah Hall. He tried to come across his body and really rip a kick. That kick is specifically set up just to flick out. It's there, it's set up. You set it up with the hands and you just flick it out, right? So that you're really not putting yourself into any real damage. That's kind of the way that Dustin was getting Conor.
Yeah.
Think. Boop, just flick it out there, right? Chris Weidman came across his body and try to really, and it was the first kick of the fight, so he really try to just dig into it with that one. And here's the thing, if it landed, it probably would have done a lot of damage. And you can tell something that they're working on. But the defense to that is exactly what Uriah Hall did.
Yep.
It's lean into it. You sit there, you just open your foot up slightly, and you just put your weight down on it. And if these guys going for the calf kicks aren't exactly where they're supposed to get, I'm telling you, I said it on the Fight Podcast earlier this week. I'm saying it again here. We're going to start seeing a lot more. I'm not wishing it on anybody. I'm just saying that is the defense to that technique. This is the new technique. That's the defense for it. It's going to start happening.
I 100% agree. This game is changing at all times. Remember, MMA is still relatively new in a sense of they're still finding things out. They're still coming up with different techniques. You can see by different coaches and the way they go about fights, how these guys who are so good are getting dominated by guys you never thought they would when they go to other organizations. These guys are just getting better in every facet of the way.
Every facet.
But of course, we have to talk about this. We have to bring it up. Another thing that happened at UFC 261, we had Jake Paul in the crowd, of course, bothering these guys and just like coming in, telling Dana White, "Where's my $1 million?" As soon as they showed him on the screen, the whole crowd was just like, "F Jake Paul, F Jake Paul," which, hey, that shows you that he has a lot of attention, which that's exactly what he wants.
Power.
But at the same time, he's giving attention to these MMA fighters. Ben Askren almost has 1 million Instagram followers now. That's unheard of. I remember when Ben Askren probably had like 100, 200,000. He's almost at 1 million just by
his followers keep growing. Every time he gets knocked out, he gets like a 250,000 jump in his popularity.
It's crazy. But this one was the most because it just from interaction with before he even got knocked out, just the interaction he had with Jake Paul made his number go up. His wife, who Jake Paul started following, got 50,000 followers on her Instagram because Jake Paul started following her, and it helped her real estate business. So is Jake Paul helping these MMA athletes maybe make more of a payday in a sense of maybe they can go box him, or him just even saying their name, more people want to go look him up because remember, he's the internet guy. He runs the internet. He is running the internet, if we're being completely honest about this. Him and his brother. These guys have been doing this for a long time. They've developed they're trolls, and they're doing a very good job at it. And look at where it's taking them. Is what Jake Paul doing right now helping MMA athletes?
No, it's not. It's his only thing. His only person that's helping is himself. All he's doing is trying to enrich himself. Because let's be very honest. If you're under contract with the UFC, you're not fighting anybody else, especially not Jake Paul. It's not going to happen. So at the end of the day, all he's doing is being a troll. These fights aren't going to happen. He's not going to actually fight a guy who can actually beat him. Think about the people that he's fought. He fought a 41-year-old retired 5'9" basketball player, some YouTube gamer, and a retired MMA fighter that had hip surgery 3 months before and has never been known for his hands. So now he's over here calling out and he's getting his name. Like, only thing he's doing, that's culture vulture shit. It's cloud. He's cloud chasing. He's calling out these names and has clout, and because he's trying to attach, essentially, not just relevancy but legitimacy to what he does. Look at me, I'm calling out Conor, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about who he's calling out. I'm calling out Conor. I'm calling out Nate Diaz. The people that he's calling out have names, have followings. But is he actually trying to fight these people? No, he's not really trying to fight these people. All he's doing is enriching himself.
He may not be trying to fight these people, but if anything, these guys are trying to get clout from him because he's got a bigger name. This is clear.
Some of them are.
I respect MMA fighters way more than I will respect Jake Paul any day of the
absolutely.
week. But
absolutely.
If Tyron Woodley's calling out Jake Paul, he's calling out Jake Paul because he wants some of that action. He wants to grab some of that attention.
They think they're looking at it like it's an easy payday.
100%. It's the easy payday. In that sense, this helps the MMA athletes. Mike Perry. Mike Perry's on a losing streak. He's not doing too well right now, but they put out that video.
Think about it. Are the fights, the guys that it doesn't matter though for the guys that are actually in UFC contracts now. If you're out of the UFC, if you get cut or some shit, well then cool. I guess it would help those guys out. You know what I'm saying? But that means they're no longer hired and contracted by the UFC. That's my only thing.
Let me explain. Let me say it in this sense. To the point where when Mike Perry was spoken about, in this whole situation, that's 50,000 followers right there on Instagram. You know what that
Did
is
he?
too? Boom. Yes, of course, because that was everywhere. That was as soon as Jake Paul tweeted that on his Twitter, that is 100%
Maybe.
right there. Boom. I'm giving you all these followers. You think these guys,
Yeah.
these internet people, care about Mike Perry? No. Now they do though, because
not at all.
Jake Paul whooped him in a sparring match. We don't know that. We don't have any footage, but people saw that and it's like, who's Mike Perry? I want to go see. Now they're following him,
Right.
and now Mike Perry can get a sponsorship because he's getting more followers, and boom, get this bar at this blah blah blah. That's helping them. So
Yeah.
anybody.
Well, I will say,
Mhm.
I will say this: the tweet that he dropped, or the little thing that he dropped on Dana White, right, where he was talking about fighter pay and things like that, was very interesting.
He
And-
wasn't wrong.
No, he wasn't wrong at all. Well, he wasn't wrong. I guess I'm torn on it because at the end of the day, I still think he's in it to enrich himself. I think he and Dana White are in cahoots in certain ways because do we really believe that Jake Paul can get into a building if Dana White doesn't like him? Ariel Helwani is still trying to get into damn fights, but he can't because of Dana White. You think Jake Paul, if Dana really didn't want him there, could get in? No, absolutely not. He could not get in. So I think that it's a business relationship. Do I think that something maybe in the future can come with it or something like that? But let's talk about this in terms of what he's doing. How is he actually helping the athletes? It's all based upon revenue share. We're looking at what's happening. The UFC is not going to break. They're not going to budge. They're not going to move. They're not even going to acknowledge those things. So at the end of the day, who is it really helping? I don't know. Maybe. Like I said, I guess to answer your question, maybe.
I definitely 100% think it. I kept talking about this, and I just feel that this helps them a lot, and I think it will help them down the road with the UFC stuff, because him tweeting those things and Dana White having to see those, you might have to make some adjustments, and it's just like, damn, those guys might not even want to re-sign with me, and they might want to go box because they're gonna make more money than they have their whole entire career, literally. Just being on a Triller card, you don't even have to.
But again,
you don't even have
they're
to
not
fight
going to
Jake
be able
Paul.
to do that. I know that. I'm just saying they're
Yeah.
not going to be able to do that. Here's a couple things. Triller's not going to last. All right, let's just be honest. That's not going to last. It financially is not set up for it. They're giving too much money up front. Like all the numbers are there. It looks terrible. So Triller's not going to be here much longer. It's going to be here for a good time, not a long time. And it is a good time. I'm here for it. Whatever. Mm-hmm. I guess the only thing I'm saying is at the end of the day, these guys are all the guys who are under contract. How does it really help most of these guys, right? If he goes out there and he's calling people out, and if he doesn't get to spar, Mike Perry, I guess, sparred this dude, so people were able to look it up. I don't know, man. I guess I have to think about it more. I guess I have to think about it and kind of look into it. I just don't believe what he's doing is helping anybody but himself. It's just the thing.
I agree.
And I'm here for it. It's his lane. Do your thing.
Ultimately, he's helping himself. But if he just says any of these guys' names, that's going to bring some kind of attention to him. Just like when this guy does it, he says somebody's names. Now they have attention. Like they can pick and choose who they want to help in that position. You know, this is going to help. As much as Ben Askren, it sucks that he got knocked out. This is going to help him. But let me tell you one thing too, and I'm going to bring this question up too. Can Jake Paul start his own promotion? And hold on, I want to answer this first before you go at it, because let me not answer this first, but let me give you some information first. Yeah. The guy that is backing Jake Paul right now, who is basically his manager, if you want to call it, who's Nick Bedarian, I think that's his name, and he has Bafava Sports, and he's the guy that used to work for with Lorenzo Fertitta and made that deal with WME, with the UFC and Zuffa and all that. So this is a guy who has $20 billion in like building up companies and selling them, and he's working with Jake Paul. If you think for a second that Jake Paul is going to fail while he's doing this, or this is not going to go into something better or bigger to management company or promotions, I think we're going to see a Jake Paul promotions at some point, because this is kind of the era that we're in. But go ahead, Sergio.
I think we'll see a Logan Brothers promotion of some sort. They're already in business together. I think that YouTube fighting, that Triller thing, I think that's here to stay. I really do. I think there's a lane for it. So if he puts on some type of like in association with, you know, that guy, and then like a Triller, you know, those guys, and they start doing stuff. I mean, because realistically, Triller is Jake Paul Promotions.
Yeah,
really. You know, their Fight Club or whatever that is. So, yeah, absolutely. He has the financial backing for it. He has the following to do it. He's a smart kid. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm very honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate Jake Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I used to feel like he's obnoxious until I really realized what he was doing. And then I was like, oh, this is a great move. If that's what you're doing, and if these guys are dumb enough to feed into it, like Daniel Cormier, you're a doofy. Like, I thought it was cool to see. I still like it because at the end of the day, you should know who you can and who you can't disrespect. Because that's the thing that's gonna happen to Jake, right? You're gonna start having to see some of these guys in person, and he's dealing with real fighters. And when you deal with real fighters, those real fighters eventually gonna come to get you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's gonna have to see these guys in person, but the guy walks around with 46 security guards around him.
Oh,
they're not gonna be able to touch him. But do I dislike Jake Paul? I can say I dislike him for the sense of you need to put more respect when you're talking about these
I agree
guys.
with that.
I understand being a troll, but I saw him post a picture with with Kamaru Usman's daughter in it. Like, that's when you're
That
crossing
shit's not
lines,
cool.
and you don't need to be doing that.
Cool.
Like, you can troll in a lot of other facets, but when you come to family things, we're not doing that. Just like when Conor did that with Khabib's wife, we're not doing that. I don't like stuff like that.
I honestly didn't know he did that.
Yeah,
I did not know he did that.
You didn't know Conor did that?
No. I knew the Conor one.
Oh.
Jake Paul posted with Kamaru's kid.
Yep.
That's a low blow, bro.
Why are you exposing Kamaru Usman's child to your 20 million followers? That's scary, and I would not want that to happen to my own daughter.
Wait. So what was the pic? Just him like kneeling with her or some shit? What was the picture?
Tyron, why I keep saying Tyron Woodley? Kamaru Usman tweeted, "Hey, young man." I fight, yeah, and he said, "I'm no Disney kind of guy."
Right.
And then Jake Paul.
I saw that. The picture of him and his daughter. It was Kamaru and his daughter.
Kamaru and his daughter. But still,
okay.
You're not, don't do that. Do not do
I
that.
agree.
I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
I really hate that. But do everything else you got to do. Do your trolling, but do it in a smart way, and then get your fights and just get out. Because I think that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to get tired of this shit at some point in time. He's going to make his money, and we probably will never hear from him after that because, you got money now, man. You don't really have to do much.
Now, I will say this. Jake Paul's going to get beat up by somebody. Okay? Somebody's going to kick his ass. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if it's going to be in front of the cameras or behind the cameras, but again, he's one of those guys that, and you could even see with DC, Jake Paul was shaking in his boots until his security ran up, and then he got tough again. He was tight about it. You can see it. You see in his face. Man, that eyes don't lie. So it's gonna get to a point in time that you get to trolling, you get to talking shit. Like Conor McGregor can back it up when he was doing it, right? Even now, though, it's getting to the point now that that's just starting to catch up to you.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers can figure, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to catch up to Jake because here's the thing that's going to happen. And I'm curious of what's going to happen. He's going to get knocked out too one day. If he keep playing this game, he's going to be on camera. He's going to get knocked out. And then all those memes and jokes are going to happen to him. My question is what happens to Jake Paul once that happens? Because to me, Triller is done when that happens. This whole ride is done when that happens.
My thing is, I don't think they'll ever choose somebody that is capable of knocking out Jake Paul. They're just too smart than that. They're going to keep picking these guys who are way over the edge. They might even call a BJ Penn. Hey, BJ Penn, come
BJ Penn might fuck around and be next. Shit, but I'll tell you, you know what? Honestly, Dylan Dennis would probably be next.
Or Dylan Dennis. And you're going to go out there, knock out Dylan Dennis.
Knock his ass out.
Still got no hands. And Jake does train basics of boxing. He does. I saw Luis Pena talk about it the other day, and he was there when he was boxing Anthony.
He said he got his ass kicked. He said Buddy beat his ass.
He said Charlie Deca was killing him. Anthony, whatever his face is, I don't remember his last name, got tired after a while or whatever it was. But he's like, if any guy with any really good amateur would kill him in there. So yeah, we know exactly what's happening in that gym. But they'll never choose anybody. But we'll move on from this Jake Paul topic and go.
He's part of the sport now. We're compelled to talk about it
straight up. And I had this conversation with a friend the other day, and I'm just like, they're low key taking over a little bit this year because look at that, everybody's talking about it. Every single person is talking. I can't lie. As much as I dislike the guy, This is the God honest truth, and we have to talk about it. So we had some bigger news this week, though. John Jones has left first round management after being with them for 11 years. We don't know if he's going to go to somebody else. We don't know what's going to happen with him after. But Malky Kawa was on Kevin Ioli's Instagram Live and said he hasn't done business with John Jones in about 3 years. John Jones pretty much has been representing himself. This is not the fault of Malky Kawa and first round management. This is John Jones wanting to handle these things himself. And you can kind of see it in a sense of how much he was getting paid for these fights and how those things were happening and how his past 2 years have been, to be completely honest, because when he was doing everything with first round management, you can tell the difference.
Everything he wanted.
He was getting everything he wanted.
Everything you wanted.
Nate Diaz tweeted the other day. He goes, "LOL, you guys still need managers? Does John Jones even need a manager at this point in time, sir? Does he even need one?"
John Jones, yes.
If he gets one, who do you think would be the smartest decision for him to make?
Okay, so to answer the question, John Jones does need a manager. Does everybody need a manager? No, but it's a good thing to have a manager, somebody who is paid to work on your behalf. You can still be in the room. You can still have a lot of input, but it's important to have a solid manager who is going out there, always going to bat for you. The Kawa brothers, I don't care what anybody says about them. One thing you can say is that they always get their guys paid.
Always.
And they always have their guys back.
Always.
Think about this. I'm not even going to go into getting Jorge Masvidal. Let's talk about John Jones. John Jones literally pissed hot on some PEDs. Didn't get pulled from the card. They literally just said, "Oh, well, he pissed hot here. Let's move this entire card to another state." The day before the fight, the Kawas did that. First round management did that.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm saying? They, again, don't care. I don't care about their political beliefs. I don't care about nothing. They go to bat for their guys. And here's the thing. I honestly believe that they would have got John Jones the most that he was going to be able to get. He says he wants, Dana says 30 million. John says, and the people that I've heard within people who know, say he's really asking for about 15. I think the Cowboys would have got him probably somewhere between 10 to 12. Pretty damn close. They would have almost got him there. And here's the thing. If he goes to Paradigm, if he go with Audie and all those guys and Conor McGregor and Manny Pacquiao and those guys, that's a good option. If he goes to Little Thickness, what's his name? Ali Abdelaziz.
Little Thickness.
If he can go to him. Ali has great relationships. He's another one. He goes to bat for his athletes. Those are the only options, in my opinion. Or UFC just went public. He can go WME. He can go CAA. He can go there.
He's got a lot of people that he can go to, but I agree with you in the sense of first round will get you that money because 2 fights Jorge Masvidal this had, and he made more money than the champion. He made more money than the champion.
Exactly.
You got Jorge Masvidal starting a bare knuckle promotion down here. You got Jorge Masvidal with a deal with the Mezcal company. You got Paige Van Zandt starting her own company. They set their athletes up.
She got her own OnlyFans.
Literally,
own OnlyFans.
She's not on OnlyFans. She's on PaigeVanZandt.com.
Exactly. And Valerie Loretta.
Another one.
Pearl Gonzalez.
Come on. They're setting their athletes up for success beyond MMA, and they can make money outside of that. I think they are one of the best companies that represent their athletes in a long time. And Ali does the same thing too. You never see any of those guys complaining. You never see any of those guys complaining about money. What?
How good they are for
they're
first
good.
round.
They're good. No matter what. No matter what, I always thought they were amazing. And I think there's a lot of
they're great. They're great. All jokes aside, they're amazing.
For sure. But there's some people that complain about their management companies and they'll end up somewhere else. You know the guys that switched like 4 times. Tony Ferguson has switched managers before. Joanna Jędrzejczyk has switched managements 3 to 4 times. What's going on in a standpoint of those things? That tells you a lot, you know? That tells you so much. But I think sleeper person that John Jones would probably make his manager, Tiki Gosen. I think Tiki Gosen is the guy you should go with. And I think that's the guy that he's going with
good call.
Because first of all, Tiki's. Do you notice you see Tiki behind these athletes and you don't hear him talking?
Always.
He doesn't do nothing. You see how much Brian Ortega is making right now? You see every time Brian Ortega fights to see how much his purse is for that they show you. Tiki Gosen.
Tiki's been doing this for a long time, guys.
A fighter, and he knows the game. He knows everything behind the scenes. And I saw something the other day. I saw John Jones follow Tiki Gosen. So something might be happening there. I don't know.
Wait. Say that one more time. Are we dropping some? Are this some brothers in combat news? What we got going?
I'm saying right here. I think John Jones signs with Tiki Gosen. What is today's date? Today is April 29th. John Jones is going to sign with Tiki Gosen. I'm saying it right here. I'll record it, and if this is true, I'll put it out there, of course. But a Brothers in Combat exclusive. I think he signs with Tiki Gosen. I think it's a good idea. I don't think he needs to go to some huge company. Just have somebody who represents a small amount of people, and he's going to be fine. But Serge, we got a couple minutes left here, so I just want to talk about these next upcoming things real fast. We'll just do a little lightning round.
Let's do it.
Dominic Reyes fights this Saturday. You think he's still hung up on this John Jones loss? In the interviews, he's still talking about it. I won that fight. I don't care what anybody says. I won that fight. Do you think he's still hung up on a John Jones fight? And is that going to affect him this Saturday?
I do think he's still hung up on the John Jones fight, and I do think it's going to affect him because here's the thing. Yes, all of us believe you beat John Jones, but you know what I do know, and all of us know for a fact, is that the champion of 205 is not John Jones. The champion is Jan Blachowicz, and Jan Blachowicz knocked you the fuck out, and that's what I do know because you had an opportunity to win the title. I don't care about the John Jones. They let you run it back against the guy that everyone believes you should have beat and you did not beat. Is he caught up on it? He was stuck on it then. He's still stuck on it now. And he's going to get another big Eastern European dude come over there and knock his face in. I'm telling you, he's losing this one too.
I don't know what's going to happen on Saturday, but the way that Dominic Reyes has been talking, it's just too much John Jones talk. You got to carry on. You are on a different side of your career now, and this is where you're going to make a name for yourself to see how you can come back from something like that. And I hope that maybe it's just the media putting it in his mind because they keep asking him that question. But
maybe that's a possibility.
But he's answering it. Me, I'd be like, that's in the past. Let's talk about what's happening on Saturday. So sure. I hope that's not in his mind, and I hope he can get past that. That fight is on Saturday, guys. We got Yuri Prochazka taking on Dominic Reyes. This is a very important fight in the UFC light heavyweight division. Check that card out. We also got Cub Swanson on that card. That's going to be a good one against Chigazi. That's going to be a really good fight. And what else is on that card? I'm forgetting right now, but I'm definitely going to talk about that on both our Instagrams. We'll talk about that card more. Francis Ngannou, Tyson Fury, they're talking to each other a lot on Twitter and Instagram. Tyson Fury just like, listen, man, I'll take care of you right now. You want some of this Fury money? Come in the ring. I'll box you. Would you want to see that fight? Would that be a very intriguing fight, or is Tyson Fury just going to go there and just outbox Francis Ngannou? It's not going to be close.
I hope this never happens. I hope this never happens. This is asinine, okay? Like, dog, Tyson Fury is one of the greatest boxers of all time. Of all time. Guess who's not? At the end of the day, Francis Ngannou isn't. He's an MMA fighter. Stay in MMA. I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of this, man. Like, dog, here's my thing, right? And I know everyone talks about the money share and everything like that. That's why everyone's like, oh, you got to fight in boxing. If y'all want to see who the best fighter is, y'all need to come to MMA and have these dudes come to MMA. Because boxing is only one component of MMA. So you mean to tell me this guy who focuses just on this one fucking thing and got to fight this guy who focuses on 17 things, and we expect the guy who focuses on 17 things to beat the guy who just has to worry about this one thing in his sport? It's so dumb. I am so tired of it, and it's the media's fault. We got to stop bringing this dumb shit up. This is dumb. This is not going to happen.
I love it. I want it to happen.
It's so dumb.
See it happen because what is Francis Ngannou known for? His hands. Is he a boxer? No, he's not a boxer, but it's intriguing to see because it's that heavyweight.
You know why it's
division.
not intriguing also?
Anything can happen. It's the heavyweight division.
No, it can't. No. And that's where you're wrong. Not anything can't happen, especially in boxing. And there's MMA, anything can happen. Where you have 4-ounce gloves on, you can get clipped and go to sleep. There is a reason why boxing, that doesn't happen. Gloves are bigger. And here's the thing, too. We forget. We look at how big and diesel and jacked fucking Francis Ngannou is. Francis Ngannou is 6 inches shorter than Tyson Fury. We're not even thinking about that yet. Francis Ngannou is six. Okay, he's 5 inches shorter.
He's
6'4". 5 inches. She's 5 inches shorter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's a big height differential. He also won't weigh the same as he will literally be the lighter guy, the shorter guy, trying to punch up when a seasoned boxer who is known for moving your head, dog, like we have different lanes for a reason.
I love competitive
I hate
people.
this shit.
I love competitive people. When they're competitive, I want to see it happen.
It's not even about being competitive. Here's the thing. Then come to MMA.
And remember, Francis Ngannou's first love was boxing. He wanted to box. He was training boxing.
He didn't box though. He didn't train to box. He hasn't trained with professional boxing.
In France, he trained with some guys in France when he first started, and then he went to. Not to say it was top tier, but I'm just saying he has the love for boxing, and I feel like it's something that would be intriguing for the people to see the heavyweight champ in MMA and the heavyweight champ in boxing take on each other. I almost want to see that more than I want to see the Anthony Joshua fight. Almost.
Why would we put ourselves in positions to always lose? I don't understand it. We're always putting ourselves in a position. The MMA community,
guys? Oh, MMA guys.
Yeah, we're always putting ourselves in. We're not going to win these fights. We're not.
I'm saying this as a fan of the sport and somebody that loves combat sports. I do too. When these
and nigga, you already know I follow boxing hard. We literally have an episode we talk strictly boxing, and I respect boxing so much. This is disrespectful to boxing, and this is disrespectful to MMA. I hate it.
I want to see it.
Oh, it's so garbage.
I want to see it.
Oh, it's so suspect. I hate that shit.
Real quick, Sergio.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We got 2.5 minutes left. really, really fast. ONE FC had a fight yesterday. Eddie Alvarez took on OK Sayun. I'm probably saying his name wrong. He lost the fight because the way that ONE FC scores their fight is by the whole entire fight and not round by round. Do you think that's a smart way of going to score a fight? You think more organizations should take this way, or that's probably not the smartest idea?
I personally like it because I like the old Pride rules in Pride, so where they do, because a lot of fights, I think if you did judge the fights as a whole, a lot of things would be differently. John Jones versus fucking Dominic Reyes. If we judge that fight as a whole, Dominic Reyes wins that fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those are those type of things that we actually really look at, and those will really be affected. Now, that fight, that was some bullshit. I had Eddie winning that fight as well. I think he won the last 2 and 3 rounds. I do as well. I do not like this set of rules and the way that they go about this. I think they need to change the rule, or they need to explain to the people that are watching more how they go about it, because a lot of people were confused. I saw a lot of fans tweeting just like, how did you lose that fight? They got to get that settled in. Satri, and I don't think Satri should be getting that mad and upset that people are having these thoughts about this fight. Be more explaining to them, It's like asking somebody about a sport they don't know, explaining to them, explain the rules. You want to know the rules specifically. ONE FC, I know they have 13 million followers, but I don't think those followers are real. But you got to tell these people who are watching your event, be specific about it so they know and they learn. And if you go by the full entire fight, okay, it could be a draw maybe, but I don't know about OK winning that fight completely. But guys, we appreciate you, of course, for coming today, for watching us, and every single week. Serge, anything you got to say to the people? Of course, tell them where to find you at. Well, you already know how we get down, man. Thank you all for listening. This is Brothers in Combat. Follow me at The Fight Podcast, at Serge Vicente. It looks like Brothers in Tank Tops today.
Hey, Brothers in Tank Top. We might be back next week. It is hotter than a mud outside. We'll see you guys same time, same place next week. We appreciate you guys for watching. We are out. Boom!